Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of another It Came From the Workbench series. We are all the way up to It Came From the Workbench 45. This is the fourth installment of 45. 45.4, the building of the, and we'll get to it in a second, the building of the, let's just, for the moment, for the passing of the moment, let's call it this. For the building of this. Sprung of the live stream. It's gotten a couple installments on it as we tested it and refined it. This is the build that is almost exclusively MEUS. And there's the thing, MEUS. If you go to the web page for MEUS, who make these things, and they have there's a little blurb where it's like for you, for me, for us, MEUS, right? Like what we call the circle of crawling, the collaboration of crawlers, and that's great. MEUS, it's what I've been calling MEUS. So I thought, well, maybe they took it from something. I only very recently learned that Zoku is Japanese for family. I didn't know that. I grew up with a generation where ohana is the only word that I know means family other than family. So I learned a thing, and now I have that thing to keep. So I thought, well, maybe they took MEUS from something. MEUS goes way back. Greek. There was a Greek MEUS. There was a Latin Galatian. Back then, MEUS meant mine, and it was not pronounced MEUS. It was pronounced MEUS. Like M-U-S-E. MEUS and MUSE are pronounced the same. And people make fun of English. Anyway, so if it was pronounced MEUS, because when we try to name rigs, I generally wait for their personality to come into their name. And then someone in the comments had the audacity to say Gary Mcy, and I was just absolutely tickled. I don't know if we're going to land on Gary Mcy, but there have been many rigs. We named a rig here Steve with like 4 E's in the middle of Steve. And it stuck. It rolled across the bench one day, and I went, man, it's got a real like Steve Rogers. It's got a real Captain America vibe going. And I went, Steve. That was it. It was Steve from there on. So from the audacious posting of the comment that simply said Gary Mcy, once I found out that in Latin it's pronounced MEWS, like a cat goes mew. As soon as I saw that it was MEUS, for MEUS, dang it. Is it Gary Mcy? I get this feeling that it's Gary Mcy. Gary Mcy is here, not fresh from his Ghost Ride. Ghost Ride days are gone. Betwixt when you saw him last and now, I think there has been a singular change made, which was the installment of okay, so his name is Gary Mcy, but I'm still going to refer to these guys as MEUS, because on their website, for you, by me, for us, so it's MEUS. So we're going to call him MEUS despite the fact that he's Gary Mcy. The only change was the installation of the MEUS rock lights, the 9 LED element rock lights. I want to say yes. There's 7 white LEDs and 2 amber LEDs on the sides. They are, okay, let's do the thing that we do here when we do this. They are really bright. And they come with a controller, so you can do this. Oh, what? They also do seizure mode, in case seizure mode is a thing that you like. I'm a fan. I am a fan of the rock lights, pod lights, the MEUS lights. Am I a fan of assembling them? No. Am I a fan of how bright they are? Yes. Good mounting options, nice. Anyway, this is not the first ride. Y'all missed that because I took time off and I went to Proline by the Fire, and its very first wheel in its, I'll go ahead and say it. If anything, I might add some, I guess they just call them pod lights. I want a better name. The lights that they mount at the A-pillars on the hood of a vehicle. I don't want to put a light bar on his roof, but I would like some forward-facing lights. Maybe a chase light, maybe something on the back of the cab, something. Just because I'm still high on the drunkenness of night crawling out on the trail courses. It was a good time. We can do night crawling here. Just need to put more lights on things. So there's a distinct possibility that more lights are going to go on things, or alternately, follow me, the weather's going to change. It's going to get really cold at night, and I'm going to be like, I'm not going out there. So one of those two things will happen, or potentially maybe a third thing. So he went from where he was to having rock lights, and aside from the addition of pod lights, I don't know if there's anything else that need be done. He's real good. He's gonna have to slip in to the Wheelin' Wednesday competition because of the vehicles that were running that competition. A couple of them are no longer here. Wiley and Randall both left the fleet to go to new forever homes, so we have a hole. It also gives us an odd number. So we're gonna even those numbers out. I don't know where they're gonna get in, where they fit in, because we have a couple of vehicles that were not here when the event began, and there are here now. This is the first properly competitive round. Anyway, I'm talking about Wheelin' Wednesday, and we're supposed to be talking about Gary Mcy. Nice, Gary Mcy. So, he is also done in that I didn't have to paint the body. Instead, we hand that off to someone who knows how to paint bodies, because when I paint a body, I'm like, let's pick a single color and paint it red. I don't even like to use two colors. So Curtis Knudsen, who is linked in the description of every video that features one of his bodies. We have Lolo here that he painted as well. It seems to be a perennial fan favorite. He came and painted the Ford F-150 cab for me just before Proline by the Fire. And there it is. Does it look good? Yeah, it looks real good. Looks real good. Got the little rubber there on the back. That is why I have been running a this guy. I don't really use it. It's too long for the chassis. I have to link it up there. I can use it, and DSM straps do work, but what it does do is allows me to be infinitely lazy, in that I raised it out of the way. I put the body down over the pins. I didn't think this out well enough, right? Like that, and then A, comp, B, the body can't pop up because it's got this guy over the roof. It just kind of fits, right? If a truggy has got that line strapped over the roof, you just go, yeah, okay. So I ran it in this configuration out in the rocks, in the what we were calling at the time 12 grit rocks, the grippiest rocks ever, to the point where there's not a ton of feather on these. Argenum the Phoenix was the rig that got the most driving out there. His tusks are the most perfectly feathered things you've ever seen. Anyway, I forgot there was one other change made. The change is not structural, but is merely cosmetic. The MEUS nylon axles out here, remember I said Vanquish collab? These are the stock weights that come on a carbon. These are the knuckles from a carbon. And then in the rear, we have the, we have the portal covers of a carbon. So we just blacked out the axles and put the MEUS covers on, because this guy doesn't, I don't feel a red vibe with this guy. I feel the blue, black, and gold vibe. I tried to polish these up a little bit, make them a little more presentable, but that aluminum casting is pretty porous. Driving it, the wheeling that I did with him, I don't see a need to change anything. If anything at all, any change in the future might be tires. I'm not sure. Outside of a handful, maybe 3 or 4 vehicles, I don't know if there's more than 3 or 4 vehicles in the whole fleet that are on their forever tire. Argenum on tusks is a thing. I love Daphne on a groundhog and Ghost Rover on a hold, but there's no guarantee that that's going to be their forever tire. As of the recording of this, Extreme Route just knocked $10 a pair off the cost of Lampreys. Would I put Lampreys on Ghost Rover? Yeah. Would I put them on Daphne? No. But there might be some other tire that Daphne was not on Groundhog 2s for the longest time. And then once I saw him on there, I was like, yeah, we make a lot of cosmetic tire choices. This is a cosmetic tire choice. I think the Champs look phenomenal on there. I lucked into the geometry. It is MEUS X Vanquish. It's like one of those collabs. Vanquish plastics, Vanquish shocks, Vanquish drive shafts. The rest is MEUS. With a little sprinkling of, I don't know, both patience and ability. He's better at painting bodies than I am. Nobody's the best at everything. So the more bodies I can get Curtis to paint for me, the better, because everybody goes, "Oh, I love those bodies," and I don't really get that on my bodies. So, you know, I'll keep doing this thing, and whenever possible, I'll abuse him and use his techniques and abilities to paint bodies for me. Man, Gary Mcy is a good-looking fella. He drove really well. I had 0 complaints out on the 12 grit, but I really want to see it in its full finished configuration on the Champs. Squids for the inserts. I want to see him out in the canyon. We'll just head out there. We'll mush around on the rocks a little bit. It's bittersweet, these moments, because there might be some little changes here and there. I'm gonna get that winch figured out. Where's that dang thing? I'm gonna figure out how this guide line. First, I'm gonna figure out how to get a winch line through that. Then I'm gonna figure out how to mount it, because the winch is hooked up and powered, and I have the double switches hooked up so I can run a winch. I still have cruise control. I have all the things. I would love to put a proper winch on this guy, because we only have Randall had a winch and he doesn't live here anymore. So we need more winches. We need more lights. I'm not turning into a scale guy, but driving at night with the lights is an absolute blast. So maybe 2 here, maybe something back here just to be able to see him from the back. We'll get on that, but before we get on that, let's get on this. Let's go out, give him a wheel around, hit the usual spots, and see if I still feel like he's done. I feel like he's done now, but he drove on 12 grit. See if I feel if he's done after he's driven on the, the home course. He's definitely, I'll definitely go so far as to say, geared a little spicy on the 1800. Whatever the spur and pinion are over there. 56. Pinion is probably, I want to say it's a 14. So it's 4-1. Yeah, we could go down a bit. There's plenty of room. Just finding a spur that fits. I think the very top end speed is a little spicy. I like to get just up above walking pace. Okay, we gotta clear the dust here. That's a little pushy. My brain is also still a bit on Apple Valley rocks, which, as I said, 12 grit. Tire selection, not remotely as important there as here. Driving on a lot of the stuff here is like glass compared. Get it over. There it is. Yeah, we just gotta clean them off. No matter how gritty the dust is, and the dust out there is really gritty, you still got to clean it off. Yeah, his suspension feels remarkably good. There's a part of me that's like, change the shocks, cosmetically, put some blue shocks on there or some blacked out shocks on the SE, on the little mini SE springs. But performance-wise, these are working just fine. They are the S8Es from a carbon upside down, which means they're not going to leak, or they're at least not going to leak quickly. If I was going to issue a complaint, and as I am apt to do, I would say that I can't give it quite the amount of trigger tension that I would like, because we've got too much at the top end. That is incredibly easy to remedy. It's just change the gears. Because that box, as far as I'm concerned, that box is definitely a portal box. There's also the option 3. I have an identical 1200 in the drawer. Put a 1200 in it and gear up a little. I do love a 1200. Dang it. Remember all the stuff I said minutes ago? Maybe, let's just forget all of that happened. This is MEUS X Vanquish. Gary Mcy. Is he done? Probably not. The more I'll drive him, the more I'll think about it. Now, is he done? Yes. Do I think that I'm happy with the wheelbase? Yes. Do I think I will be making major component changes? When I talk about doneness, there are... So, come on. That body did not touch the ground. Not once. When I talk about doneness, I talk about things like body, axles, wheelbase, that stuff. All the other stuff, that's not the stuff that makes a crawler. Wheels, tires, body, shocks, those things, those are all interchangeable. I could go to any other vehicle, swap out another 90mm shock of a similar setup, whether that be spring rate or amount of damping, and if it's one way or the other, slightly more damping, slightly less springing, etc., the rig might get better or worse. The carbon springs might be a little soft for the rear. I do notice that we get a little front hop, which generally means that the front end is over collapsing. And these are pretty soft, 1.2, my brain wants to say. So I'm thinking 1.4, 1.5 in the rear, not a problem. That's tuning, those aren't changes. I like the wheels. I really like the MEUS's take on the adjustable offset. I built these all the way out. They're I can never remember. Positive offset pulls the tire in and negative offset pushes the tire out. I just smacked into the tripod. So these are as positive as possible, if I'm remembering that correctly. They are built in the configuration such that it reduces the wheel track as much as possible. I think that's a more clear way to state it. He doesn't traction, he doesn't torque twist, he doesn't have axle sway. He's quite predictable. We'll come off right here, and we'll look at the turning circle right here. Do we get inside the slick rock sign? By a hair. Tight enough. I have no complaints about that turning circle at all. The stability is good. He's got good compliance. The only thing old Gary needs here is that last 5%. The 5% that takes 95% of your time. The tuning, the tweaking, and he also needs a thorough going through and a molly treatment because that grit. We could get some of the grit off with air pressure, but a lot of that grit is there. He's definitely more growly than he was when he arrived at the other location. And as not every rig needs to be an absolute flex monster, I think this is close. Do I think you could get away with 85s on the MEUS? I think if you're going to build your MEUS up with a shorter wheelbase, you'll probably want 85s. Look at the angle on the rear shock. We're at or around 45 degrees. There are a couple rear more holes. I don't think I can stand the rear shock up enough to get the rate. So we're running under 1.2 pounds is what I'm saying. I don't think I can stand the shock up enough to bring it closer to its actual listed rate without raising the height of the axle, raising the height of the frame in the rear above the axle, which is what I don't want to do. I want the frame to sit at a particular height, and we determine that with springing, but we also have to pay attention to how that springing impacts performance. And I think we need a slightly stiffer spring laid down as much as it is now, or potentially at most maybe one more hole. The Champs, see there it is. That tire gets loaded up. I can steer out of it, but then it puts us in a less optimal spot. Let's see, can we get through here? And the changes are small. As I said, it's that 5%. We need to get this guy, like, right? Okay, watch that rear. Just keep your eye on passenger rear. The tire insert combo is at 95% plus. These are very nearly exactly what I want. And when I look at him up there with his neon yellow rope across his top, like a big pinstripe, a magical pinstripe, I think, yes, on the one hand, I want a winch, but no, on no hands am I fitting a winch and a recovery strap. So the winch is so much work. I have to figure out how to make it work, and then I have to figure out how to make the body not flop around because we won't have a nice elastic rope acting as a rear body mount. So to get the winch to work, I got to fabricate a body mount as well. And I am energy conserving by nature. So half of me is like, just take the winch out, put it on something else. I'm like, dang it, you lazy word. I don't know, we'll see where we go. It's finish work, for sure. That's why I've been driving it with the weight of the winch in there. Not that the weight of a little Reefs, is it Reefs, NSDRC? Not that the weight of a micro servo winch is going to be crazy. It's like, it's going to be, well, it's going to be a percent, but it's not going to be a crazy amount. This thing is super predictable, and the Royal We have been referring to the MEUS chassis as not a 10 Pro. It is definitely evocative of the layout of a 10 Pro, the curved rear shock tower like that, the arc to it. But I will go out and say that the geometry is different enough. We don't have that overwhelming surplus of stability that I had in the 10 Pro. Stability to a point where I was like, ugh. We also don't have that giant, gargantuan contraption of a motor in the middle, that we of a gearbox in the middle, and the associated gearbox, the forward motor mount. We don't have to deal with that. This thing has a much more conventional forward motor mount and a separated T-case with the underdrive built into it. Don't have to futz with it, sitting around that 20, I want to say it was 22%. So there's really less stuff. My 10 Pro is still a 10 Pro. 10 Pro axles, 10 Pro layout, 10 Pro chassis rails. So it's retained 10 Pro geometry. But this is kind of more a 10 Pro than the 10 Pro. Or they're closer together. No, this is more a 10 Pro. You have to get your 10 Pro further away from where it was born to be happy with it. And by you, I mean me. And by me, I mean potentially people like myself. This guy, he's real solid. Like any problems that I had personally with the 10 Pro have kind of been addressed here. I don't like the wonky, I'm not a fan of those chassis sides, not sliders, sides, with the big angle on them. Like this body's got the cut in it. I don't ordinarily like bodies with that cut in it. It kind of fits this though. Is it me? I don't know. I feel like it's me. But I don't have he's got a bunch of winch line hanging out of him. I should take care of that. I don't have a problem with the way this looks. No, I had to pay that winch line in, and I had forgotten how fast that went. That winch is fast. Now I really want to hook that winch up. And we've got a week coming up of not unseasonably high temperatures, just obnoxiously high temperatures. So maybe I'll have some time indoors to take care of that. Oh, that's real nice. Champs. I should have driven him more. If I have a regret, it's that I didn't drive him enough on the 12 grit rocks to sand his tires in a little more, because those champs would be straight gripping. He needs wheel time. He needs wheel time. So that's why I'm reluctant to make even a spring change. Someone in the comments will be like, no, you are right. The springs are too soft in the rear, or you are wrong. The springs are perfect in the rear and too stiff in the front, or too soft in the front. I need the outset of eyes often because I am too inside the problem. I am the problem. The problem is inside me. I am inside the problem. The problem is inside me. It is twofold. Oh, that was great. Oh, I do love a deep woods. Who doesn't love a deep woods? To the point where when I mounted... Get through there. He's got a real stability. I was given a little too much pepper to try to get down from that, but he did not need it. I love a deep woods so much that when I mounted up this set of champs, I put him logo out. I don't know, it fit his personality. Little skid angle there. Little skid angle there. There we go. Yeah, portals and 465s it's a jam. Portals and 465s is a jam. Let's see if he can do the top over here. We have to get up under this, the overhang rocks. So it's not cheating, it's a can you. We keep driver's side up over there because we don't want it. That big choppy block is an overhanger. You don't want to get your rear tire right there, because it will load you, and oh no, oh yeah. He's good. He's really good. I am viewing the MEUS chassis as a kit build, because the only thing stopping it from being an outright kit is that MEUS did the unthinkable and left options, left decisions up to you. Decisions of axle, decisions of wheelbase. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the options given to you in a kit were, do you want to build it 313? Do you want to build it 324? Do you want to build it 300? 287? What do you want for your wheelbase? Do that. Buy the links and buy the axles that you like and do that. And that's what we did here. I ended up around 320, which is a hair long, but you know, I intended to run a cab the whole time. So a lot of people, if you're running a full body, you're going to be shooting more around that 313. 320 though, all you need to do is cheat the body back a little bit, which means you might need to trim up the front, the very corner of the fender, like near where the headlight and indicators would be. You might need to trim that up a little bit, but you could put a 313 on a 320, no problem. I was just, from the moment I saw it, I was thinking cab. That rear is going to slide out. I'm going for this little notch right here. If I can get the C-hub and axle over it, I think we'll be all right. Yep. Or we come back around. We're still untuned, and I'm having a great time. Having a great time. Yeah, he needs grease. He needs some Molly. That's Molly Bedinum. Through there. Nice. Real good. Real good. Let's get even lower. Can we get even lower? This is nope. 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 Can't get lower. Here's what I like about this guy. Perhaps above all other things. It's not overwhelmingly, this is not a point it in a direction and job done. It's not that. Nothing about it. They low, I would say on that build, a lot of MEUS in there as well, more capable. I mean, what, megalithics versus champs. A megalithics can outdo a champ. What this thing is it's kind of delightfully a driver's vehicle. It's predictable. It's capable. Like, we're doing staircase, we're doing side hill, we're doing the alternate lines at Daphne's and at Undertaker. There aren't lines that are explicitly out of question for it. I think it looks good. I think it would look good on a full body. It looks great with a cab. I think there's one thing that cannot be ignored, overlooked, or understated. And that is economy. The chassis is $140. The chassis comes with a gearbox and all of the middle bits to put the rails together. and the carbon fiber rails. We will withhold any future concerns about durability or longevity of what I have always called crushed carbon fiber. But that's how you get the gold flakes in it, is a crushed carbon fiber. Do I think that the crushed carbon fiber is going to compromise strength overall? Not if you run braces and whatnot. I think it will be fine. But it is a cosmetic choice. Twill or laid down 3K carbon fiber is going to be stronger. It's a question of how much strength do we think we need. $140 for the chassis kit, which includes the FMM and the gearbox, is beyond competitive. You know what is super beyond competitive? The axles fitted to this are MEUS nylon axles, and they are $82. So we're at $220 for chassis and axles. You still need links and shocks. Links are going to cost you, could be as low as $20 for the full set. Slap them on and go. You go with MEUS links, you're looking at between $25 and $30 for the full set of links. So we're now at $250. Now you got to put shocks on it. Let's say you opt to put Traxxas GTS or big bores on there. We'll give you a $50 allowance for shocks. You're now at $300. You need wheels and tires. If you were to fit the wheels and tires as you see right now, let's call it $100. It's $50 for the set of 4 MEUS adjustable offset wheels. Louise Champs will set you back about another $50, right about 50, so we'll call it $100. You're now at $400. And the only thing you're missing a body and electronics. You put a Fusion SE in it, radio of your choice, you're going to end up there, right? A friend and associate of mine has they call it, oh man, I do apologize to him and his associates in particular. They have something called like Club $500 RC, where you make a decision at some point in your development, which is it's either going to be under $500 or it's going to be over $500. The beauty of the MEUS chopped carbon, the crushed carbon build, is you can absolutely build this guy in the under $500 category and go right out there side by side with the over $500 guys, because you cannot argue the economy of just the chassis and the axles. Chassis, axles, and links. You will have a slider for this for $250. That is tough to beat. And it's a slider that you won't have cut corners, right? The axles are good. The chassis is good. The geometry is good. Yeah. Oh, I will say, and I mentioned this before, if you set it up as servo and axle, you'll build this fast. You'll build this real fast. Getting the geometry, setting your own geometry for chassis mounted steering and 3-link front, I think everyone should do it. It's a really valuable learning experience. But there are times when you'll go, I don't want to build another Panhard bar. Please don't make me build Panhard bar number 7, because I had to make a change and it nudged everything over 2 millimeters, and now I've got to change it again. When you get it though, when you get this guy, where I have made no changes to front end geometry once he came off the bench for the first time for his ghost ride. Did I get lucky? Or is luck just the term that they apply to something that you've done 100 times, so now you don't have to go through as many iterations to get to it? And I did have to build that Panhard bar a couple times, because first you're trying to set your wheelbase, then you're trying to set your pinion angle, then you're trying to make sure that your steering servo clears, and then consideration. You're just building a pile of variables and determining which variables you want to place more importance on. I want it to be good and straight and not swing and not bind and not interfere. That's going to tumble. Yeah, we get a little pushy right there, but that just means that's not the rig. That's me trying to send it where it's not comfortable going. Gary Mcy's a goer. Like, this is solid. A little wide there. I could have taken it a little tighter on entry. Let's see if this won't collapse. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So if you are a CBA type of personality, if the build of something, if the toys you enjoy do indeed have to pass some sort of cost-benefit analysis, I personally think you can't put a price on happiness. If it brings you joy, I don't think it explicitly matters what it costs, provided that that cost isn't cutting into other parts of your life. If you can't buy yourself food, you've spent too much money on your toy cars. I think that's an objective statement. But this guy costs less than other ones in the fleet, and he may indeed bring me the same amount of joy. Do I like him more because of that? No, I like him for what he is. A friend is not someone who is there for value. A friend is someone who is there for an intangible. Sometimes you're like, I don't know, there's just like a cosmic thing. There's an invisible thread between me and that guy. And this is a toy car, but I feel like there's an invisible thread between me and that guy. I have had to do virtually no fabrication for this. This is a little sprinkle, just a tease of build on top of an assembly, because it was a build that I had all of the choices, or an assembly where I had all the choices. I picked my links, my axles, whether I wanted to do chassis mounted or servo on axle. It's good. I picked my tires, I picked my inserts, I picked all my things, and I put them together. And I think if you do the same thing, I don't think you'll be like, oh, well, I've made a shambling monster. I think if you make the basic choices, I say portals for this, because getting your gear reduction, or low KV, you could do that too. Straights, if you're going straights, real low KV. This is a 45 turn, 55 turn guy, like a 1200 or below on straights for show. Anyhow, I think we've done really well. I think we've done, here as a collective, I think we've done really well. I would recommend the MEUS, the axles and the chassis, to someone without hesitation or pause, because I would build this again. I mean, I'd be forced to give it away because we don't we kind of steer a little bit clear of straight duplicates. Though although follow me here, servo and axle, full body build. This is the kind of build that you could take and put a hard body on top of, and then you'd get that little bit of cheater performance under it. You could be a little sneaky with it. So it came from the Workbench 45, Gary Mcy. What a guy. I'm happy with it. And ordinarily, it takes me a lot longer to get happier with them, because I don't know. There's some part of me that feels that there's some other part of me that needs the abuse, right? Like, I need the parts of it that weren't done right. Bittersweet. Kind of done right. I mean, this is pretty close to box stock, and I feel like we got a level of performance above it. So I view it as a kit that gives you the choices. And as much as I love y'all out there, I did it to you again for not the too many at the time, but here we are.